Oliver. We've had some news that suggests that we're very, very close to hearing a final settlement on the BNP Paribas saga with the U.S. authorities. What's the news, or what could be the news?
Well, we're expecting to hear later today that BNP has reached a settlement with the US authorities of about $9 billion. This is to cover charges that it helped client to evade US sanctions regulations. But it's not just a fine. We're expecting that to be accompanied by a ban, a temporary ban on BNP Paribas' ability to clear transactions in US dollars, which is a huge part of trade finance, of course. So it's going much further than the sort of standard fines that we've seen previously.
Yeah. Okay, so you must be getting to be a bit of an expert on dealing with bad news banks. What's been the kind of record on the share prices once the news comes out?
Well, looking back, as you say, there's been quite a few of them. A real roll call of banks have had regulatory and settlements with the US authorities in the last few years. The one that everyone would hope to follow, I guess, is Barclays, which had a LIBOR settlement more or less exactly 2 years ago. In the 6 months after that settlement, Barclays shares rose 35%. Now, looking at some of the other settlements that have been involving the likes of Royal Bank of Scotland, Standard Chartered, HSBC. Generally, in the month after the settlement, there's not much of a trend, but in the 6 months after, the shares in these banks tend to rise and tend to outperform local banking indices. So it suggests that if there's a settlement coming, then maybe it's a good time to start looking at the bank again. Now, in BNP Paribas' case, the shares have been very weak this year. Since the first provision was taken in February, the shares are down about 16%, as there's been a lot of uncertainty over the shape and the size of this settlement with the authorities. So it might be that now they've traded all the way down to below 0.9 times tangible book value. Maybe there's a little bit of value there.
Okay, so there is a chance here that if we're not at a buying opportunity, we're getting pretty close, and if not on the equities, probably certainly on the bonds. Any more to add?
Well, the other thing with this is the other part of the settlement, and as I say, not just the fine, but this effect on the US dollar clearing business. And it remains to be seen really how clients will react to that. Because their transactions will have to be cleared by a different bank, and what's to stop those clients from saying, well, we like whichever other bank is clearing our transactions now. So there could be a longer lasting effect on BNP Paribas business than just simply the fine, because a fine, you take an exceptional item, you pay the fine, you hope that it's all in the past. This might be a longer lasting impact.
Okay, very interesting. Thanks a lot, Oliver.